the dance. He's a former advisor to the Trump 2016 campaign and founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. Steve, first your thoughts on Janet Yellen's position, possibly as Treasury Secretary?
Hi, Rick. Good to be with you. Happy Thanksgiving. And I just have to say at the outset, we really should be celebrating this Thanksgiving, this amazing economy. We are now living through the single greatest and swiftest recovery from a recession in American history, thanks to Donald J. Trump. We have the unemployment rate down to below 7% in 6 months. It took Obama Biden 6 years to do that. We've got, growth. We got the Dow went up to 30,000. A lot of that is because of Operation Warp Speed and the vaccine that's coming. So 2021 is really setting up to be a blockbuster year as long as Joe Biden's policies don't ruin it and don't derail this incredible expansion. Now, some of the people that Joe Biden has nominated, or at least is expected to nominate, people like Janet Yellen. Look, I know Janet Yellen a bit. I think she's a very competent person. I don't always agree with her on policy, but we could have gotten a lot worse. I think a lot of conservatives are happy that at least it's not Elizabeth Warren.
Mm-hmm. What about these other potential members of the squad being added to the cabinet? I know progressives are pushing their agenda on Joe Biden and hope that he'll play ball with them.
Well, first of all, I was listening to that report, and it sounds like it's all this kind of racial and gender, equity stuff, and not choosing the people. I'm not saying these people aren't qualified, but I think Americans do want a colorblind society, and the idea that people should be picked because of their gender or the color of their skin probably isn't the best idea for America. By the way, Donald Trump had some incredible high-level people, who served him in his cabinet, who were black and who were Hispanic, who did an amazing job. So I think what matters is who can get this economy back. We still have a lot of work to do. But truly, this is an amazing recovery we've been in. Nobody expected we'd be where we are. And let's not forget, nobody thought we could have a vaccine in less than a year. That's never happened before in world history. Never.
Yeah, it's
and we've got
pretty
this
remarkable
vaccine that's going to be out early in January, hopefully, and that's going to save potentially millions of lives all over the world.
Steve, I want to switch topics real quick to the climate agenda by the president-elect.
Yes.
You wrote an op-ed on Fox News titled, "Biden wants us to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. Why? It puts America last." I think we know where you stand on this. Explain.
Well, this is just heartening. I think one of the best things that Donald Trump did when he came into office, and we had talked to him in the campaign about this, that the climate change, the Paris Climate Change Treaty is a joke. The single biggest polluter in the world by far, Rick, is China. And it doesn't require China to do anything for another 10 years. Meanwhile, we have to shut down our coal plants. We have to shut down our oil and gas facilities that employ millions of workers. We have to use more expensive energy while China and India and Russia lap behind our back. So I don't think it's a very wise thing to do. As I said, in my note this week to our subscribers, this doesn't put America first. It puts America last, because American workers are the ones who are going to have to lose their jobs, while the rest of the world, especially the countries that are the big polluters, don't have to change their behavior.
All right. We'll leave it there. Steve Moore, thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your holiday.